Evening, folks. This is live on air on Wednesday night, Saturday night chats on Wednesdays. Yeah, we thought, well, most people like to go out on a Saturday night and maybe have a few wee drinks and we boogie at the nightclub. So we decided to move to Wednesday and have a wee look and see how we'd get on and see if more people would be interested in having a wee listen. So, as usual, we've got our friend from Penzance, Leigh Harris.
Hi, Robert. How you doing tonight?
I'm all right, mate. How's the weather down there in Penzance? Is it peeing down with rain, I hope?
Yeah, quite cloudy in Penzance here, mate. Yeah, but not too bad. Nothing we can't handle. Mind you, there was a big flood last week in Cornwall. I don't know if you saw that on the news, but that was quite bad. But it just missed where I was, so I didn't get affected too badly. But yeah, that typical British weather.
Yeah, I actually saw they described it as a reverse tsunami because of the way the water was going back into the sea.
Well, I didn't see that, but yeah, I can understand how they could say that. Yeah.
It's very unusual. So, what have you been looking into this week for us to have a wee chat about? I'm just going to have a wee play about here with the interwebs.
No worries at all, mate. I'll just right. Let's see if I can bring up where I've got my list of news articles. There's been a few interesting articles. Well, last week because we missed last week's show, so there was some articles from then. Well, without being too morbid, shall we start with from the Guardian? And this was today, and this is about Charlie Gard, obviously the young boy. I think he's 11 months old, but obviously had a rare form of cancer. And there's been a big legal battle to sort of save his life and get treatment in the US and all the rest of it. There isn't a huge amount to say about this, other than what a judge has recently said. I'll bring this up. It's going to work for me. Just have a quick look.
Well, Lee's having a quick look there. If you want to join the show and have a chat about the baby that Lee's about to, young Charlie, you can contact the show at saturdaynightchats@gmail.com. We'll invite you into the show and you can have a chat about it. Or if there's something you'd like to bring to the chat, you're more than welcome to bring something in and we'll take it from there.
Right, I've got it up now. So basically, right, this is from, actually this story I've got now is from The Independent, and it's actually published only half an hour ago. And its headline says, Judge says Charlie Gard will be transferred to hospice and have ventilation tube removed if no agreement is reached. And that's an agreement about his healthcare. What we've got is Charlie Gard's parents have been given until 12 p.m. on Thursday to agree a plan for his final days. If they cannot agree with Great Ormond Street medics on how the 11-month-old should be cared for before his death, the judge in the case will order him moved to a hospice and his ventilator removed. I don't think we need to go into the story much more than that first paragraph and the headline to realise that what we've got here in this country is individuals, in this case a judge, that is literally giving judgment over a child's life. How on earth can it? But it's a death sentence. The judge says if an agreement isn't reached, which from the story previously, I don't think they are going to reach an agreement, the judge will order the child to be killed, to be destroyed. Almost, and you know, I hate to say it, but this is the reality of it, much like you would an animal. That's what it comes down to. Anyone that says we live in a free country, at a free society, I'm sorry, but you're very much mistaken if you can't read, you know, these headlines and see what's going on. You know, you still think you've got some kind of freedom. The fact that anyone can decide whether your child lives or dies is just absolutely unbelievable. But it's happening. It's happening right now.
It's not the first time it's happened. I mean, there was a young lad we discussed before whose parents wanted him to go to was it Spain? He wanted to go for this special treatment. I can't remember what the treatment was.
Oh, okay, I hadn't heard about that, but yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but again, they arrested the parents. They took the child into hospital and said, like, you know, the hospital has control of the child, not the parents. And the government and the NHS are basically dictating to the parent how they should be. You know, how they should be dealing with their child's illness. Now, sorry to interrupt you here, Leigh. I've put up the email address on screen. Now, I'm seeing it in reverse. Is it in reverse to you? Can you see it?
Let me have a quick look. Right.
I'll talk
now,
so it comes up bigger.
Yeah, I mean, just so everyone knows, I'm on a mobile phone, so my screen is obviously much smaller. But maybe if I turn my screen around, it's the right way round. It's not reverse. But all I can see on mobile is nightchats@gmail.com.
But it's the right way around, is it?
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah. There we go. Right, I've put it into landscape view. So SaturdayNightChats@gmail.com. Yeah, it is all hashed.
Good. So if anyone wants to join us, they know where to give us a wee shout. Cool. Carry on. Sorry.
No, you're right, mate. No, I'll go back to the screen I was on. But yeah. So I mean that, like I say, we don't need to dig too much into that story, but it's just absolutely terrible. It really is. The parents should have the ultimate say over a child's life. And the way that the news article has reported on it, it's so flippant. It's basically a death sentence, but not once does the article state that. But it's clear for everyone to see. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of discussion about this case, and people do think that they have the right to pass opinion on it. You know, some people say that the child is suffering and, you know, there's no way that he can be saved. So, you know, he should have the ventilator switched off. I mean, just unbelievable. It's not their decision. It's not a judge's decision. It should be down to the parents. And like you say, you know, it happened before. And that's the worst part of it. This isn't going to be a unique case. This will continue. And I don't see a way that, you know, it's ever going to stop. People don't realise that their children are not their own. As parents, we're literally babysitters. We're foster carers for our children. That's what it comes down to in a legal sense. If you don't parent your child as the state wants you to parent your child, there will be interference to the degree that the child will be removed from you. And in extreme cases, like we can see here, they will kill your child. They will give your child a death sentence. And to say that an agreement must be reached by midday on Thursday, absolutely ridiculous. I mean, just
there's another new article just come up. Let's see if I can actually do this. Right, I'm now screen sharing. You should be able to see that now. Turn off your mic for a second, and I'll scroll down through this.
Okay, hang on. Let's bring this page up.
Okay, so I think Leigh has his mic turned off now. So this was put up a few hours ago saying Charlie Gard parents hold private talks about his end of life care. Now, this is something no parent should ever have to go through. You know, this poor couple are being dictated to by our government and our hospitals on what they should do with their child's life. You know, I believe there's help available in other countries, but, you know, we don't have control over our children. Like Leigh is saying, it's we're told what to do. We're just guardians. We look after them, but we do it to a set of rules. I don't know how I'm going to contact him back. Let's see if I can find him back again. And you back with us?
Here, yes, yeah, I'm still here, mate. Yeah, I was listening to you.
I didn't know what I was like. Hold on, I didn't know how to bring you back in there. I was like, is he still hearing? So anyway,
No, yeah, mate. Yeah.
So it's the same like you discussed with the. Sorry, looking down here, I'm not playing Tetris on my phone or something. I've got to keep an eye on the email because we do get emails. Well, we don't, but we would like emails from people. If you're listening, come on, send us an email. Just say hi. Got to keep an eye on the chat as well, which is at the side. When people are on YouTube Live on their phone, when they're watching us on YouTube on their phone, they can actually, there's a wee button that says live chat, and they can click on that and they can come on and talk to us. And it pops up here on the side. You can't see it, but I can. So, yeah, it's a shame about Charlie's. You know, it's the same as with you with the vaccines. When you're talking about the vaccines, parents aren't given an option. You aren't given a choice. Now, you're talking about the way governments treat you with choice and stuff like that. I'll give you a laugh. Leigh, earlier on today, I had to phone the tax credits, HMRC, to renew my tax credits. And when I phoned them, I got through, and I had to pass through the usual automated system saying to me, could you please say your name, your national insurance number, date of birth, etc. And then it asked me for something really bizarre. And I'm like, what is this you're asking me for? It was asking me for a verbal password, i.e. it was going to use voice recognition. It was going to record my voice. And anyway, this was as soon as I heard this was happening, I recorded the call. So let me see if I can.
A numerical pattern. This pattern is unique to you in the same way your fingerprint is. It works if you have an accent or are unwell. For example, you can still use Voice ID if you have a cold. It is the fastest and most secure way for us to know it is really you we are talking to. It's easy to set up. You will be asked to repeat the sentence, "My voice is my password," multiple times. I'll need you to say exactly those words. It takes about a minute. So, please say, "My voice is my password."
Yeah. So I had two choices when that came up. I could either hang up and not finish my call and not renew my tax credits. Yes, I know for the people who say, oh, but you get a form to do that. I know, I left it a bit late. But anyway, I digress. Then I had to say these words to actually get through to someone to talk to. So I had to say, my voice is my password 3 times. So I got through to the chap I had to speak to, dealt with what I had to deal with. They said, is that all? I said, well, actually, it's not. I said, on the way into this call, I was forced to give vocal recognition on something. You know, you basically forced me into taking a recording of my voice. I says, do I not have permission? Do you not have to ask permission? Do I not, have consent to this or something? And he says, oh, I don't know. He says, nobody's ever asked. I says, well, I don't consent, and he says, well, if you write into us, listen, I'm not writing in. I want this removed today. Right, okay. I'll put you onto a manager. So 10 minutes later, I got into this lady manager, and she said, yes, there's an option to opt out of this. I said, and when do you get this option? I said, because your colleague didn't even know you had that option. He had to talk to you about it. So obviously you're the first level of people that are involved in this option, this opt-out, And she said, oh, there is an option. I've opted you out. If that's what you wanted. Yes. I said, yes, please. Thank you. I says, I record calls. I said, I'm recording this call just now. She said, did you tell my colleague that you're recording this call? I said, no. She said, but you have to tell us. I said, but you've just taken my recording by force. I said, now I'm doing the same with you, and you're telling me that I'm in the wrong for doing that. So, yeah, needless to say, she hung up on me. And yeah, they removed it, but they force you. If you want to fund tax credits, you have to go through that if you want to speak to somebody.
Just ridiculous, isn't it? It really is. I mean, it started on mobile phones with facial recognition. I used to have an old Samsung phone, and at the time, I thought it was quite high tech, and I suppose it was a few years back. But even that had the option to actually unlock the phone. You could set up the facial recognition, and I mean, since those times, that's sort of it's gone quite widespread in commercial use. I was reading an article earlier. Unfortunately, I didn't save it, but it was about how shopping centres, department stores, they're using facial recognition in their marketing. So they're scanning the faces of everyone that's going through their store from one side to the other, and it's analysing every time it picks them up what their facial expressions are, as to whether they're happy, sad, indifferent, all the rest of it, and it goes into analytics for marketing.
Well, I've heard that the TVs are like this. I mean, I bought my TV, which is a Samsung Smart TV. I didn't actually know about the TV listening to you at the time. Did I read the terms and conditions when it says, do I agree? Of course I didn't. I just clicked, I agree. I want to use my new telly. And yeah, apparently this is one of the TVs that listens to and records your conversations. But it's okay. We record our conversations on YouTube. So yeah, get out of you, Samsung.
Well, this was, I mean, this dates back to George Orwell's 1984, doesn't it? The telly screens. How the telly screens are watching you, they're listening to you.
And they are now.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, that was a true prediction. There's so many things in that book that, have come true or have come to light as being true. Like perpetual war. We're constantly at war now with terror. That's never going to end. We're always going to be at war on terror. There's some really deep things in that book, actually. But yeah, the telescreens, that's one thing that should really be noticeable to people. But how many people notice it? Well, none. And I think the biggest problem is the way that this technology is introduced. It's in such staggered stages that there is no sort of revolution to it. It's just every step of the way it becomes normalized into people's lives. And not just normalized, but in a way it becomes essential to people. Because a lot of people now, I mean, if you said to them, smart TVs don't exist anymore, you're going to have to go back to, let's say, just a bog standard flat LCD television, not even HD, but with a SCART lead, and people would be horrified because, they've come to use the internet on their TVs, all the features that it comes with. You get things like the Amazon Fire Sticks as well with the voice recognition on them. Well, there's certain models that have the voice recognition.
I haven't got the one with the voice, right? I've got the normal one. I'm just showing up an article that's from The Guardian about the facial recognition in department stores, as we were talking there.
I don't know if it's going to be different on other people's screens, but I've just got a blank screen on mine. I don't know if that's going to be for everyone or just me, but it don't come up.
That's strange. Oh well.
Just try it again, because I've
screen share Microsoft Edge. Why is it saying just Microsoft Edge? Should actually say the name. Normally it says the name of what you're looking at. It sees the title or something. Let's move it down a bit. Right back. I'm having a look around my camera stand. My camera stand, just out of interest, by the way, is actually worth talking about. Do you know that?
What's that? All right.
my camera stand. Here we go. Right, we should be able to do it this time. Now, are you seeing it this time?
Now it's working.
You got it now, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so that was an article from The Guardian about the facial recognition from sometime. There's no date in it. It's like, wow, oh no, here we go. That was 2016 in March. So, okay, so this screen sharing thing's not too bad then. It is working, so that's good. So anything you talk about, I can just go and quickly Google it and patch it across. We need to try and find a way to get you live, like what I've got here. There must be a
screen share as well. Yeah.
There must be a way to do it.
I don't know if I might have to do that on a desktop sort of laptop scenario, which I can't do at the moment. But
have you got a tablet?
no, the wife's got an Android tablet, but
You should be using it while you're doing this.
yeah.
Right. Anyway, so yeah, Charlie Gard, facial recognition. What's the next? Well, facial recognition. I mean, even the webcams, the things that we're using here, they had facial recognition years ago because they used to have. I used to be able to put moustaches on and reverse your face and do daft things with them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to talk about my camera stand. This is actually quite cool. There was this. Do you read Metro? I know we don't read mainstream media, but there's a couple of publications that I read. Well, I don't read them regularly, but I would do if one was sitting beside me. Do you read Metro, Lee?
Not directly, but if I use something like Flipboard or whatever, just to bring up headlines, sometimes it just bring up Metro on there. Yeah.
Anyway, they had an article about a thing called somebody had done a house clearance. Somebody had passed away or something like that. They'd done a house clearance, given it to a charity shop, and they found this thing, and it was quite interesting. It looked Chinese, so they sent it to a Chinese specialist, an auctioneer guy down in Wales, I think it was, if I remember right. And he said, "You need to put this to auction. This is really, really quite old, you know, quite rare." They got £250,000 for it. And what it was a Chinese paint pot, which is a section of bamboo, and then it's carved and varnished and absolutely stunning. And I was like, hold on, I've got one of these in the house. I've got one of these in the house. That's what I'm using as my camera stand. Do you see this?
Right, yeah, I'm with you.
I need to show you this. It's very, very cool. I don't know if I've got enough light here to show this. See the detail on that? That's a single piece of bamboo. And it's three-dimensional.
So how much is this worth?
Well, due to this big crack down the back of it, which doesn't affect the artwork because the artwork starts round here, it's worth about 200 quid.
Oh, okay.
and they don't. You're joking, yeah? Because if it was worth $250,000, I wouldn't have sold it by now. Eh? Some of the brand new GTR at the front door and stuff.
That's a good point, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I'm into, you know, I'm not a consumer. Please don't take it that way. So I've got buttons here. Right. Anyway, yeah, that was my camera stand. I wanted to show you that. I thought it was quite cool. So what's next on the agenda?
Right, this is from The Independent, and this was published an hour ago, so we've got some quite new ones coming up at the moment. Tories drop their manifesto promise of free school breakfasts. Well, all I can say is thank God. The move follows a series of U-turns on key planks of the party's general election manifesto, including proposals to lift the ban on grammar schools and social care reforms. The Conservatives have officially abandoned a flagship manifesto pledge to provide free school breakfasts for all primary school pupils in England.
So stopping the parents having breakfast for their kids now, yeah?
No, well, I think it's kind of the opposite, because what they were proposing was they would offer free school meals at the school at breakfast time for all pupils in primary schools. You know, a lot of primary schools already have a breakfast club that parents have to pay for, but what the Conservatives wanted to do was to make that free, in which case it moves sort of into ideology that how dare you refuse it because it's free, so your children should go to breakfast club. So so we move away from family breakfast time, and it also would free up parents to bugger off to work
a bit earlier.
Dawn, and leave their kids. So this is a policy that that I'm really pleased hasn't gone through at this point in time. But it goes to show what is on the minds of the government, and I include all of the political parties when I say government, because to me, and it's just a personal opinion, what I've observed in my own research is that it doesn't matter what political party you have in government. They all follow the same line, they all follow the same agendas, and this is one of them.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we've already got an increase in after-school clubs. That again is so parents can work till at least 5 o'clock in the evening. So you've got no excuse. If this had gone through, you've got no excuse to go to work and get there for 9 o'clock, because the state will take care of your children. Something I'm completely against. Schools have completely overstepped the line on this. Parenting is for parents. It's not for schools. But interestingly, in the article it says, and this was a quote from the Conservative Party representative, we will, however, invest in a breakfast club programme as announced in the Childhood Obesity Plan in August 2016. This is another thing that sort of, grinds my gears a little bit. They keep pushing how children these days are obese. And that, of course, the natural inclination is to link it in your mind with overeating. But the opposite is true. The fact is, parents have less money nowadays. There's much more poverty. Children are eating much less.
Or they're eating more crap.
More crap, yeah. But when I look around, and even when I travel around, I don't see an increase in obese children. And every year, the NHS comes into schools. They do a quick health check of the children that includes their weight, height, and general well-being on the sly. And I have known parents who have children that seem to me perfectly normal body mass. You wouldn't say they were overweight or underweight, but they've received a letter after these checks in school by the NHS that their children are in fact overweight. It's absolutely ridiculous. But this is what the government aims for, is to try and make out that all children, well, not all children, but trying to make out that we have an obesity problem amongst children, and we quite simply don't. And it's a good mask to sort of cover what this policy was going to be by getting children into breakfast clubs, is that, well, obviously parents can't be trusted to feed their children properly. Parents can't be trusted to give their children proper nutrition.
No.
So let the state take over. We'll do it through the schools. We'll feed your children. You go to work.
Well, can I interrupt you there, Leigh? A friend of mine posted something earlier. Do you know about the talk about them bringing chlorinated chicken and beef into our country?
Yeah, I caught a very brief
trade deal from America.
Today.
Yeah.
I didn't read into it, but I did catch the headline of it. Yeah, but no, I didn't do it. Didn't do any looking into it.
It's just a trade deal with America, I believe, or what they're trying to do is a trade deal from America. Theresa May warned that slashing food standards to win USA trade deal could spell disaster for farmers. What, is that the same farmers that you pay not to grow crops? Yeah.
They'll be the ones, mate. Yeah.
Whoop. Sorry, causing a wee earthquake here. The food thing's bad enough. I try my best to be healthy with the kids, and there's peer pressure. They want McDonald's, and occasionally McDonald's. Everything in moderation, right?
Absolutely.
But trying to get them to eat a salad, impossible. I'll try a salad, and we one would rather starve ourselves than eat a lettuce. Matthew tries. He's beginning to be a bit more aware of his health and stuff, and they're trying. They don't get aspartame in anything. Anyone that's watching, if you don't know what aspartame is, go and Google it. It's a toxin that's added to drink. They say it's to replace sugar, and it's meant to be good for you because it's diet or it's low in sugar. Aspartame's 10 times worse for you, 100 times, 1,000 times worse for you than sugar is. If you get the choice of diluting juice in a drink aisle, choose Ribena. It's got sugar in it. It's safe for you. Don't have anything with aspartame in it, please. So Matthew knows about aspartame. We don't have anything with aspartame in it. We have real butter. We don't have margarine. They don't get bubble gum. I try and keep their life as normal as possible, because if we'd be eating vegan, and as much as I know I should be, or there's people out there who say I should be, I do like no meat. I like my steak. Sorry.
No, that's fair enough, mate. And I mean, from a parental perspective, for me, I couldn't give a stuff about calories, and that is what we're all told to count: is count calories. How many calories are in this? How many calories are in that? Children, they're so active nowadays. Well, they always have been, but
When they're playing on their Xboxes, yeah.
well, yeah. Whilst the parents are at work, yeah.
Whilst the parents are at work. Oh,
8 in the
quickly,
morning
sorry,
till
I meant
6 in the evening.
to say earlier on when you were talking about that, they've increased the retirement age from 67 to 68.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'd forgotten about that when you were chatting. Anyway, carry on.
A policy that wasn't supposed to come into effect until much later, but they brought it forwards. Yeah, absolutely. It all ties into work until you drop. Absolutely. But yeah, I couldn't give a stuff about the calories when it comes to children. It's the chemicals, like you were saying with the aspartame. That's what we're not. Well, that's what, as a population, we're not given mainstream education on in any way, shape, or form. People that know about chemicals know about them because they've done their own research off their own backs, like you have and like I have.
Yeah.
This isn't something that's made public knowledge, or it's not something that's pushed down our throats like calories. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the children are avoiding the chemicals en masse in a lot of the produced foods, then I really don't have an issue, because children will burn it off.
It worries me when my son's going to high school after the holidays, and I see them when I'm driving down the road, and I see them coming back at lunchtime from the local shop and chip shop, and I think there's a very large pizza chain as well who do a cheap lunchtime deal. And they're all walking along, and they've got like a big bag of Haribo sweeties, and got a big tin of Monster or Wicked or whatever it is. Not Wicked, that's alcohol, isn't it? You know what I mean, like one of these caffeine drinks. And you're just like, I'm not going to. My son wouldn't do that anyway, but you're just. How do these kids afford it? Right, one of these cans is £1.50 or something like that. Then you're talking another £1.50 for the Haribos. That's £3. Surely they're having lunch on top of that. So there's more money. That's £5+ a day. That's 35 quid a week. That's quite a lot of money, eh?
It all adds up. I mean, I couldn't afford to buy a can of Monster Energy drink every day anyway. Even just for me. But,
I wouldn't want it.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, these things are so dangerous. But the school that my children go to, I've seen toddlers being given these cans of energy drink.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just think, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I think it's bad enough when I go to the school and I see kids coming out P1, P2, and the parents give them a can of juice, a can of cola, a can of Iron Brew or whatever. And you're like, why are you giving them a fizzy drink as soon as they leave the school? I know it's sugar and, in moderation and stuff, but why are you giving them?
Well, this is it. Where is the mandatory education on the dangers of energy drinks? Where there isn't any. Where's the NHS campaign in schools to stop children drinking energy drinks and similar products? There isn't anything. But there's a massive NHS campaign telling children they're fat, and then there's a massive NHS campaign telling parents that their teenagers have body issues.
And don't forget, their babies need to have vaccinations against STDs.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, can people not put these two things together? You've got the NHS going into schools, telling children they're fat, and then you've got teenagers that apparently have massive body issues. What's the correlation there? Because it seems quite obvious to me. But no, apparently not.
The education system, as we've discussed many times, is so wrong. I mean, the fact that you're not taught how to human properly, You know, you're taught how to pay bills, you're taught how to earn money, you're taught how to pay your taxes, you're taught this, you know, all the stuff the government needs from you. But you're not taught how to grow a vegetable patch. You're not taught how to, you know, sustain a house on a very small amount of money, yet still make your bills, etc., and still manage to save a little bit of money. Well, not that that's possible, but you know, back in the 60s, 70s, the husband went out to work. I've said it before. The wife stayed at home. She did, very sexist, I don't know in this day and age, but she stayed home. She did the laundry. She did the housework. The guy came home. They would have maybe 1 or 2 holidays a year. It maybe be Skegness. It maybe be Ibiza. You know, but they had that, and they were able to do that. But not now. Now both parents have to go out and work, and both parents struggle. Sometimes both these parents lose their homes. I actually have a family member myself who lost their home because they lost their business, a home they'd worked all their life for. They had to take a council flat because the company failed, because of the way business is structured in this country. You know, there's too much, big business is allowed to dominate too much. You know, so the wee man doesn't really have a look in. You know, they say, oh, it's austerity, you know, it's nothing to do with that. People don't have any money anymore. But you see a factory shut down. Did that factory stop having the ability to make metal? Did it stop having the ability for these guys to operate the machines that made the things that they made out of the metal? No. Did the guys stop wanting to make those things? No. It was down to money. It was because the government made it impossible for this country, this company, to make money, and the guys are left with no job, no pension, and the fat guys who ran the company, they're like, well, no bother, we got a kickback from it. Government are fine. That's a contract they've sold to China. You know, it's all wrong. The way everything's run in this country is all wrong.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and in my opinion, this is all engineered by design. This is exactly how they wanted it. Both parents out at work constantly until they literally drop down in a lifetime of debt. But you'll always have those rich CEOs at the top of the tree that give you something to sort of aspire for. So they serve as example. Well, look, if you work harder, if you try harder, you can have what we have. So of course people do try, and luckily, I mean, thank God, the state is there to look after your children whilst you do it. I mean, that's really good. You know, they could have gone to Breakfast Club, and I'm sure that policy will come back. But you know what I'm saying? It's all deliberate. This is how it's you know, this is the world that we've been engineered to live in, and this is happening across all of the westernized world. Obviously not just here in the UK, and it's pretty serious at the moment, and it's not going to get better. It's just going to keep on getting worse. But the problem is, as each generation is born, this sort of lifestyle becomes normality. So people like us that are sort of saying, well, no, this isn't how it was before. This isn't right. It's not how it should be. Well, these youngsters that have been born, as they grow up, they go through the indoctrination system at school. It's all they know, and it will get consistently worse as time goes on. And we just, you know, just won't be listened to. Not that we listen to anyway, but
yeah. 0 viewers.
I'm sure there'll be some after. Yeah.
I'm sure there will, and yeah, and to everyone who watches it after and they're wondering why it's called Saturday Night Chats on Wednesday, is we decided to have a wee chat on a Wednesday. So see how it goes. Yeah, just to confuse you. So I'll allow you your night off and go out and boogie. So yeah. Anyway,
and if you need your kids looking after, I'm sure there'll be a midweek school club.
Yeah, with some sort of discount offered by the government to encourage you. Don't worry, we'll pay 50% of it. This is what gets me with childcare up here. I mean, you know yourself, I'm a single dad. For me to go out and work, for my kids to go into, you know, childcare so that I could work, I couldn't afford to work because the amount that they charge is ridiculous. I mean, they charge between I think it's £7 and £15 an hour per child. You're like, hold on a sec. If I'm going out there and earn £7.50 an hour, you want me to pay you £10 an hour? How does that work? I've got to give you more than I'm earning an hour to look after my children. Right.
There was, I saw it. There was a Facebook post. It was a community group here in Penzance, and somebody had a little bit of a rant on it, and they said, I work 60 hours a week or something equivalent to that anyway, and this person said, I know that what I actually have left to spend is less than people on benefits, and I could just go on benefits. Now, obviously, they've got that wrong, but nonetheless, let's just assume in an alternative reality that they were correct. They're saying they work 60 hours a week, they hardly see their children, they don't have a lot of money left after they paid out their bills and living expenses. And they finish the rant by saying, but at least I'm setting a good example to my children. Now, all of the comments that followed, follow the same line. They said, yeah, oh, absolutely, mate. Well, yeah, you're a great parent. You're setting a great example to children. That's great. At least someone's got the right morals. At least someone's got the right work ethic. Great example for your kids. Now, I'm sat there reading this and I'm thinking, hang on a minute. How is never seeing your children working that many hours for a wage that ultimately leaves you effectively skint? How is that a good example to your children? It's not. What you're doing is you're then passing on to your children the same mindset that you need to literally slave away every day for absolute pittance because that's the right thing to do. Now, I understand decades ago, you could earn a good living by grafting 60 hours a week. Not that you needed to, but you could do. You graft all week, you did earn enough money. And as you said before, your wife can stay at home, look after the children, you go out, you do the graft, you have enough money for a holiday, you have enough money for, you have enough disposable income for the bits and pieces that you need to make you happy, and you could be content. But that isn't the case these days. Why do we still insist that that's a good work ethic? That isn't a good work ethic at all, in my mind. And it's, for a lot of people, they can't get their heads around that. It's so controversial. They actually think, well, you're an absolute scrounger.
You're absolutely programmed because you want to spend time with your children and enjoy them growing up instead of just spending an hour after work with them and giving them a wee kiss in the head on the way out in the morning. Because you want that way of life, you're wrong. You should be paying your taxes. You need to be paying taxes all the time because you need to pay your taxes.
Absolutely, that's it. And now let's say working that many hours, not seeing your children, not seeing your wife, so none of your family, working yourself half to death, actually brought in enough money to have some kind of relatively luxurious lifestyle where you could go out and buy whatever you wanted whenever you needed it. Your wife didn't have to work. Then they might have, there might be an argument there. But the fact is, you can't. People are going out and they're working obscene hours. I'm sure I saw a report that actually we work here in this country or in Britain the most hours in Europe. And the wage is shocking. The amount of people that are absolute wage slaves is ridiculous. And it's drilled into them. This is a good work ethic. You are, we're going back to 1984 here, you are a good citizen. Good citizen. You keep working, you show those scroungers, you show them how it's done.
I got before my wife passed away, which I was a truck driver. Now I sat my class 2 HGV because I wanted to better myself and my family. I wasn't earning a good amount of money. I was on minimum wage. So I thought, if I go and get myself a HGV license, I'll be able to earn more money. And we all need money. And at the time, I wasn't very open-minded to, all the things I know about now and money and law and government, what have you. So I went and did what I was told and went and got myself an HGV license. And 8 years later, I was still earning not far off minimum wage. I was taking home £296 a week for a 48-hour week driving a truck. And I mean, it wasn't just a case of driving to a destination and people took stuff off. You were physically lifting. You were doing 1-ton pallets with a pallet truck off the back on a tail lift, pulling it in somebody's driveway. It was really back-breaking work for 296 quid a week. Now, when I suggested to the boss, I said, if you want better, they wanted us to be busier, to do more deliveries. I said, well, if you want a bit of encouragement out of us, why don't you offer us £1 per delivery bonus? And he went, but that takes away from, our profit. I says, yeah, but you imagine how many pallets I would want to deliver if I knew I was going to get an extra £1 per pallet. I'd be like, give me as many pallets. You want to give me 50 pallets a day? I will do you 50 pallets a day for an extra 50 quid a day, definitely. But no, they were too greedy.
Absolutely agree with you. And we're told in this day and age, in this modern world that we now live in, unemployment is unemployment is so low because so many jobs have been created. But then you look at what that employment is, and it's two things. It's 0-hour contracts and it's self-employment. Both of those things are almost the equivalent to unemployment.
Yes.
As we know, if you're on a 0 hours contract, well, you've got no guarantee of a wage every week. You don't know how much it's going to be. And that's exactly the same when you're self-employed as well. So unemployment, effectively, that's not changed whatsoever. In fact, actually, in relative terms, more people are probably unemployed than ever before. But that's the world we live in, and it's all programmed through the media to make people think that they must work these hours. They must accept the minimum wage. In fact, when the minimum wage increased, I knew people that were over the moon. They actually thought this was a fantastic thing.
I'm going to get an extra £1.20 a week.
Yeah, yeah. And you think, hang on a minute, have you seen the cost of your weekly food shop? It's ridiculous these days.
Yeah.
That doesn't match your wage increase in the slightest. Council tax, absolutely. Even income tax and national insurance as well. I think for a lot of people, it pays to be on part-time hours, earning a pittance because they avoid that tax threshold. But then we're back to square one, aren't we? Because what is the point of them, working at all? It's just ridiculous.
And the thing was, I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, when we were talking about, mum and dad working, etc., mum staying at home, we were an industrious country. We had, we made cars. We made, in Falkirk, I mean, the industry in Falkirk was amazing. We've got, we make your buses. Go look in the back of your buses. It probably says Alexander's with a little Scotland flag. It's made half a mile down the road. Karen bathrooms. They're world famous. They make bathrooms, cast iron, have done for a long time. But these things are gone. We're not an industrious country anymore. People just go out and they're wage slaves. That's all it is they're just going out and earn a minimum wage. There are people who are out there who do earn good wages and, but I wouldn't say got lucky. I mean, they've obviously worked hard for what they've got, but only a particular few get that. You imagine if everyone went out there and everyone passed all their exams and everyone got the same qualifications. The money wouldn't be there for them. It's just that particular few who would get that money. Have you muted me? Have you gone for a pee? I certainly hope not, because that would be really embarrassing. Yes, ain't anyone watching.
Oh no, sorry mate. No, I'm silly. Yeah, I forgot I was on mute. No, I was talking to you, but yeah, no, I said a really great point, but you missed it now, so never mind.
Go on then, mate. You're a really good point then. Come on.
No,
Nobody knows it.
No, because I made it up. Anyway, right. Right, here was an interesting one in the Telegraph. This came through 2 hours ago, apparently. Right, this is to do. It's a good topic because we're in the middle of summer. Now, I know that you there in Scotland, you're having a fantastic summer, aren't you? The weather is fantastic. You got a lot of sun.
Summer. What's that? Sun?
Yeah.
Oh, is that big UFO, the big yellow UFO that comes into the sky now?
Yeah, the unidentified object that
yeah,
appears once a month.
That scares.
That's it.
What do you
now, so you'll obviously need a lot of sunscreen, a lot of sun lotion.
Yes.
Right. Well, the good news is it's proposed that in future sunscreen will be made from DNA to act like a sacrificial skin layer to protect from the sun.
Okay.
And I thought this was really interesting because I have a big issue with any sort of
big issue.
Yeah, I don't think it matters how you term it, whether it's sunblock, sun lotion, tanning lotion, whatever. To me, it's all the same thing because it's packed full of chemicals. There's been a lot of talk.
Aluminium, I believe, or something, some metal that's in it.
Well, that's it. There's been a lot of talk between a link between those products and skin cancer. And I don't use sun lotion at all. I never have done, and I've never had a problem. And interestingly, the two groups of people that I've ever seen with the worst, leathery, horrible skin you could imagine.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, are heavy smokers and those who absolutely worship the sun to the point where they bathe themselves in it every second it's out and lather themselves in sun lotion. Their skin comes out looking absolutely terrible after a few years.
I'm afraid I've debunked your smoking one.
Oh, go on then.
Well, you know I'm only 21. I mean, look at me, for God's sake. You know, it's...
Do you know, I've been telling people you're 70, so, actually, I'm amazed, mate. Yeah.
So, and I smoke, so I think it's down to sun and alcohol. I don't drink. I mean, I look like young, you know what I mean? I look like 30 or something like that.
But you must have seen a heavy smoker, not a recreational, but a real heavy smoker, sort of 60 a day. When they get to their 50s, they look like they're 70. If you look at their skin,
yeah.
I mean, I see it all the time. But
I put it down to drink. I put it down to alcohol. I believe alcohol ages people quite heavily. I've seen people my age, and I just think I look so much younger because I don't drink. No, I'm not blowing my own trumpet here. I'm 47 years old. I don't think I look 47 years old. I'm looking at myself on the screen. That's why you're looking up. Yeah, I look 47.
Well, I mean, this article, it says sunscreen made from DNA, which acts like a second skin to prevent sun damage.
Who's DNA? Who's DNA?
Well, would you believe salmon?
The DNA of salmon. So you're going to end up with pink salmon pink. You can get that down at suntan lotion, suntan place for like £1.
Well, scientists in the US have developed a film from the DNA of salmon, which gets better at protecting the skin from UV light the more it is exposed to sun. It also helps lock in moisture beneath the surface, which is usually lost during tanning. UV light can actually damage DNA, and that's not good for the skin, said Dr. Guy German. No shit. We thought, let's flip it. What happens instead if we actually use DNA as a sacrificial layer? So instead of damaging DNA with the skin, we damage a layer on top of the skin. Interesting, right? Okay. The film was made from a mixture of the DNA from. Oh, this is the bit. You know, I said salmon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's from salmon sperm.
Nice.
It's interesting that there seems to be a big sperm issue at the moment. What was it? Red Bull, the energy drink.
Wasn't true. Wasn't true.
Oh, it wasn't true. Oh,
no.
Okay. Well,
Snopes debunked it, so it must be fake.
There we go then. Well, this definitely has salmon sperm in it. Water and ethanol to create sheets of transparent crystalline material.
Ethanol. I'm sure that's the same stuff that my mate puts in his car to make it go really fast.
Oh, there you go. Well, it make people go really fast now. You got their skin, yeah. So yeah, so that's the advancement in. But the point is, we've been told to use sunscreen in its present form for years and years and years. Why are we now looking at a new way of producing it in a completely different manner, using DNA?
And
What's wrong with one we were using? Because it doesn't cause skin cancer, does it?
in fairness, I mean, you know, I've got a little bit of knowledge about geoengineering. From what I learned while I was looking into that was, you know, we used to protect against UVA. We'd put on suntan cream for UVA. Then it was UVA and UVB because 60% UVB was getting through. Now there's like 6% UVC getting through, and it's changing all the time. So maybe that's why I didn't need to change it. I don't know. But to all the people, to anyone watching who's worried about the sun cream and whether they should or shouldn't use it, but they want to use it, make your own. Go and Google it. A mixture of coconut oil and a couple other things. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but you will you won't get cancer from it, and you won't need to put anyone's DNA on yourself apart from coconuts.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it might be a genetic issue because I've never needed it, never used it. But then again, I do know people that burn quite quickly in the sun.
I'm Scottish, for God's sake. Look at me, I've got freckles. Does that not tell you everything now? I fell asleep once, and I used to live in Brighton. I'm actually rubbing it, I don't know why. I fell asleep on the beach in Brighton, and I woke up and I was burnt really badly. It was a hot day, maybe 29 degrees or something. And I started walking home like, oh. And I woke up the next day and I had blisters all the way across my forehead. I looked like the Elephant Man, John Hurt. What had happened was, because I'd been sweating, they'd turned into blisters. And me and the sun don't get on. I found the best way is just stay away from the sun. I don't go in the back garden until about 1 o'clock when the shade gets past the door so I can sit on the step.
What star sign are you?
You don't believe that, Tosh, do you?
No, but I'm interested. What star sign are you?
I'm not telling you.
Tell me.
You after my bank details or something?
You're a Libra.
Nope.
You're a Virgo.
Mm-mm.
You're an Aries.
Damn, third one. Well done.
Ah, same as me then. Yeah.
Yay.
All right, well,
Christ, you only need to look on Facebook to see when my birthday is.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of effort, mate. Jesus.
To our one and only viewer, welcome and thank you for joining us. Please feel free to look at the bottom of the YouTube app or whatever you're on that says live chat. Click on that. You can come and say hi. We'll say hi back. We don't bite. We're talking about suntan cream and how it's bad for you and how you shouldn't be using it.
Yep. Yeah, I'll just add to that. Hi, Kirk. Yeah, if you want to message us.
Is that Kirk, is it?
I don't know. I'm just.
Oh, right. That's how you knew it. Yeah.
Right. Next story. Again from The Independent. I seem to like The Independent. Government forced to spend £500,000 on explaining new GCSE grades because nobody understands them. Well, that to me in itself isn't the issue. I've got personal experience of this actually. One of my friends or associates at my children's primary school, he has got himself a part-time job as a GCSE examiner. Now, this intrigued me because I'd always pictured the examiners in some kind of huge office complex, all at their booths, being passed the papers, following some kind of structured order.
You've been watching 1984 too much.
You know, no, but that's honestly, I mean, I thought that's how it was. But apparently, the way GCSE exam papers are marked is they recruit home markers. And he even suggested to me that, you know, if I'd like to do it, then he'd put in a good word for me. And then I could do it. Now, I don't think that's a good idea. However, it just goes to show what an absolute sham GCSE papers are in themselves.
So the people who are actually marking it might not even be intelligent enough to pass that GCSE.
Absolutely.
Basically, because you're saying they're giving the answers, are saying that there's. So does that mean that two forms which are answered exactly the same could be marked differently?
Absolutely. They're given guidelines, apparently. Now, I appreciate to anyone listening, this is only anecdotal because I can't prove to you who this guy is or what he said or if he's telling the truth. To me, he is telling the truth. He's got no reason to lie.
I know,
he's a normie.
I know your background, so I know that the source you're talking about is probably truthful.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this guy is very proud of the fact that he's doing this. But yeah, you're quite right. You could have two papers marked by two individuals in their respective houses, in their office or living room, wherever they choose to do it. They're paid a commission per batch of exam papers. So there's another problem within itself that obviously the more money they want to earn, the quicker they knock these things out. You know, they it's just absolutely ridiculous. And it was an eye-opener to me because I didn't realise this went on. It's not how I thought this happened at all.
It's like the voting thing. I mean, you know, when Scotland lost the referendum, we were conned out that. Scotland were on for a win because it was yes everywhere up here. People had flags out everywhere, and it was quite a proud moment for a second. Where was it going with that? Sorry, got sidetracked there. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the GCSE exam papers.
Yeah, cheating. Sorry. Yeah, so we said that we got cheated out of the referendum. I watched a video recently, and it was a guy in front of the Senate in America. Now, I know it's a different law to what we have here and a different government, but they were saying about they had this programmer up, and he said, you've designed a program that can change votes? And he went, that's right. And he said they were questioning on whether they'd used it in the election or not. And he said he didn't know. He just knew that he'd written the software. Now, it's just the school thing you're saying is a sham. I mean, the voting thing's a sham as well. I think if this guy's designed a software, this software is readily available to any government who are having a vote, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think they're looking at introducing the internet votes and all the rest of it because obviously they want people voting because it legitimizes the system. This is the problem to me because I don't vote. I don't support the system. I would advise anyone not to vote, but that's a personal opinion. But they ram this down your throat that you must vote. If you don't vote, you're stupid. You're missing out on your opportunity. So yeah, they do everything they can to make it more accessible. And there was it was a short independent film I think was made on this subject, whereby the whole theme of it was that this system was in use and people could vote online and it was all rigged and all the rest of it. But the problem there for me is it's rigged anyway, because in my opinion, from my research, it doesn't matter which party is voted in. It doesn't matter which representatives are where. It's all irrelevant. And the fact that this documentary ended up on mainstream television just goes to demonstrate that, because they want to put that idea in people's heads that, well, we don't want cheating because cheating will ruin a perfectly, legitimate system. So we can't have cheating because it's so real, which of course, it obviously it is real. People do go and vote, but obviously the outcome is irrelevant. Yeah. So that they're just trying to back it up with that. But
the recent vote, I mean, the Tories were being investigated. I can't remember how many different investigations there were going on into cheating in the 2015 election. But there was quite a lot. Now, if she called for a general election, all those investigations had to be dropped because it would sway people's votes or something like that. So, yeah, it just shows you even when they're they've been cheating and caught cheating, they can still get away with it by cheating.
Yeah, and then we have to ask. I mean, that story came again through the mainstream media, so we've got to ask.
Why would we be told that?
Yeah, again, is it just to sort of boost the legitimacy of it all? The fact that the Conservative Party were apparently cheating. Well, that's we can't have that. But it's if the outcome doesn't matter, then it just makes people think it's more real than what it is. But unfortunately, that's something that can never be proved. There's nothing I can present to say that I'm right, and there's nothing that anyone can that I can present to say anyone else is wrong in their opinions.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of these things that it's a circular argument, really. People think it's real, so they take part in it. Fair enough. Yeah.
So what else have you got on your list?
Yeah, right. So we've done the school meal. Oh, you were talking about this the other week. This is this is a news article from Wales Online, so it is sort of weighted towards how it will affect Wales. But the headline is "The Big Questions About the Ban on Petrol Cars from 2040."
Yeah,
so you did mention this. You brought this up before, and we had a conversation about it. I found these questions interesting. The first one: will I still be able to drive my petrol car after 2040? The UK government has committed to end the sale of all new conventional petrol diesel cars
as of 2040.
That's it. Now, this implies you would still be able to drive a vintage vehicle. That's interesting. So there'll be vintage vehicles.
Well, they will be by then, because any vehicle built between now and then will be a hybrid or an electric vehicle.
That's true. I mean, Volvo has already announced it's going to stop producing diesel cars. So yeah, you're quite right. I mean, if all the manufacturers, it starts to happen now, then yeah, absolutely.
What I don't get is what the oil companies are just going to let this happen. What they got? The oil isn't running out, so why? What are they going to do with the oil?
Unless they switch their activities over to investment and production in the electricity side, the power plants.
Yeah.
They could all move over.
Well, it gives us 20 years to work out.
I honestly don't know the answer.
It gives us 20 years to work out how to change petrol cars into battery cars without,
That's it, and it gives them 20 years to kill us, so it doesn't matter.
I'll be ready I'll be about 90 then, so that's another 23 years, so that's 93 I'll be then.
Now there's some facts and figures, but blah, 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 blah. How will the government make up for lost taxes from road fuel?
Yes.
Well, I think, we can all answer that. They'll just tax new cars in a similar fashion, but
you will have to rent your batteries in a lot of cases. I don't know if that'll change in 23 years, but at the moment, if you buy a Renault Twizy, which I don't know why anyone would buy, it doesn't even have doors on it. You have to rent the batteries at a monthly cost. My friend has a hybrid Citroen C5, beautiful car, DS5H it's called. Big spaceship looking thing, typical Citroen. He was forced to buy it due to his work. He uses it for his work. So he was told he had to either get a hybrid or a disabled vehicle. He got a hybrid, and it's pointless, the hybrid system, for what they're using it for as taxis, because I get better fuel economy in my 1.9 diesel Saab than he does out of his hybrid vehicle. He gets 1 mile on pure electric. 1 mile, 1.5 miles, sorry. With use of the engine and the battery, I think he can get it up to 70 miles an hour, and then it's full diesel after that. It's not good. The batteries, the way they make these batteries, actually is bad for the environment. I remember when the Prius first came out and they said, that's great, you know, we've got this green car and all the celebrities in America were buying it. They're going, oh, it's great. We've got this hybrid. You can plug it in the house. But the factories that were making them in the Middle East somewhere or Far East or wherever it was spewing out all this toxic stuff into the air and into the water, the environment, you know?
Yeah.
Not good. Now, these batteries, when we get a car now and we recycle the car, we take it down to the scrapyard if we're finished with it, and they put it in a crusher and they squeeze it up and you get 100 quid for it or something. But if you have a hybrid car, by the time you get to the time it comes to scrap it, these batteries have to go somewhere. Now, whether they're going to recycle the batteries or reuse them, I don't know. You know, we won't know until then. But that there will come a time where there's going to be a lot of hybrid cars which are getting scrapped, and they're going to have these big, huge batteries. Now, at the moment, if you go into a supermarket, you'll find that there's a tub sitting probably on the counter asking for your old AA's, your AAA's, stuff like that. But it's going to be the same with car batteries in 20 years' time, in 2020, when they, no, sorry, 2040, when they do this new thing with the petrol cars and diesel cars. You're going to end up with a lot of cars getting scrapped, which are now, then they'll be 25-year-old cars, so they'll be getting scrapped and they've got all these batteries in them. And you're talking probably 100 kilos of batteries, a couple 100 kilos of batteries. I mean, it's a lot of weight. And then you've got all the actual internals of the battery is very dangerous. So, yeah, it'll be funny to see where it goes, to see what happens, because I think getting rid of those batteries in 20 years will be a problem.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Yeah, yeah, no, I completely agree.
Right, 2 seconds. Sorry, I've had a visitor arrive. 2 seconds.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, whilst Robert's away, I'll move on to the next one, next article that I was looking at. I think I'm in through most of these. Right, this was from the Telegraph. Unqualified teachers rise by 62% in 4 years as schools struggle amid recruitment crisis. When I was the governor of a primary school in Penzance, where my children attend, there was a big shortage there, and it is well known amongst the schools in the area as well that this is a national problem, and it has been for a while. It's just reaching the mainstream media now in the degree that it is. But the article starts by saying unqualified teachers in schools have risen by 62% in 4 years as head teachers struggle to cope amid a crisis in recruitment. More than 500,000 pupils in state-funded schools are being taught by unqualified teachers, according to new analysis by the Labour Party. Well, if you're a parent of a school-aged child, you probably already know that A, class sizes are completely oversubscribed, and B, most of the time, well, not most of the time, but on many occasions, your child will be taught by a stand-in teacher who probably looks like they should still be at primary school themselves. Now, that's obviously not the fault of the stand-in teacher or the substitute, but that's how it tends to be. Let's have a quick look. So previously, state-funded schools could only employ people with qualified teacher status, meaning they have been trained and approved as a meeting a range of standards. But in 2012, the rules were changed to allow free schools and academies to recruit unqualified teachers on the basis that it give them more freedom to employ professionals, such as scientists, engineers, and musicians, and experienced teachers from overseas. Well, I mean, the problem there instantly, if you've got scientists and engineers and musicians teaching your children, but they have no teaching qualifications, they don't know how best to convey the information to children. They don't know how best to teach the curriculum. But on the flip side of that, I'm completely in favour of homeschooling. And of course, people could say, well, how can a parent do that then if a scientist and an engineer and a musician can't? And it'd be a very good point. But what I would say is, if I was homeschooling my children in my home, there would only be 2 children for me to teach. These other professions who go into school but have no qualifications have over 30 children to teach, and they have all of the problems associated with those children as well. I don't need safeguarding experience or safeguarding training to know how to parent my children, and at the same time I can educate them in the same manner, but I couldn't safeguard other people's children. That's where the difference comes in. Now, Shadow Schools Minister Mike Kane, a former teacher, accused the government of failing in their most basic of tasks by relying on unqualified teachers to plug the gaps. He said, unqualified teachers have no guaranteed training in safeguarding children, controlling a class, or adapting teaching to respond to the strengths and needs of all pupils. Mr. Kane said the government's decision to change the rules and employing unqualified teachers was permanently threatening to standards in the classroom. There is nothing more important to a good education than excellent teaching. Well, that's, I mean, you could pick that apart, really. I mean, what is excellent teaching? It's excellent indoctrination. So, yes. The Tories' failure on teacher recruitment is putting school standards at risk, and it's our children who will pay for their mess. End quote. Earlier this month, it emerged that the Department for Education plans to spend £10 million on hiring 600 foreign teachers in an attempt to address the acute shortage of teachers in maths, physics, and modern language. The Department for Education has failed to meet its targets for recruiting maths and physics teachers every year for the past 5 years. But it doesn't say why it's failed in any relevant terms. And that's because, well, there aren't teachers. And why aren't there teachers, or why aren't there more new teachers coming through the ranks, becoming qualified? Probably comes down to the problems with pay. Teachers have been on strike in the last few years because their pay terms really aren't very good for the hours that they do work. I know they have summer holidays, and we all think that they have all these breaks, half-term breaks, etc. But they do a lot of work. I'm not against the teachers. I'm against the education system. The teachers are purely just the messengers for it. And they do have a tough time. But yeah, so that's that one. Leads on also to, on the BBC, this was from Thursday, university first class degrees are soaring. The proportion of top degree grades being awarded by UK universities has soared, with some universities giving first class degrees to more than a third of their students. The University of Surrey awarded a first class degree to 41% of students last school year. Professor of Education Alan Smithers called it chronic grade inflation. Well, this is the problem, isn't it? We're constantly told that our children are becoming less intelligent, they're not behaving at school, parents aren't assisting with homework, and standards are dropping, and children are generally becoming less intelligent. Now, just quickly to make the point here that schools measure intelligence by the pupil's ability to repeat what they've been told. So I have a different view on what intelligent is than what the state says. But if we take the state's version of it, they're basically saying that too many children are passing their grades in university, which is a bit ridiculous, really. We had this with GCSEs a few years ago as well.
I remember that.
Yeah, so what can we possibly do? Pupils pass the grades. They're told it's because the tests were too easy. They fail the grades. We were told because the children aren't trying hard enough, or pupils aren't trying hard enough. It's an absolutely no-win situation at all. And I think it's deliberately kept in limbo like that. But yeah, that's just my opinion. What's your thoughts, mate?
I'm sorry, I wasn't actually listening to most of that. I just caught the tail end of it there.
Oh, right, sorry, mate.
That's okay, no problem.
Yeah, no, I knew you'd gone away. I didn't know how much of that you caught.
I just caught the end of it there.
No worries at all, mate. No, I mean, are you good to go for a little bit longer, or do you have to get off?
Yeah, no, I do need to nip off just for a couple of minutes, but no, I'm cool for another hour or so if you're up for it.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Whatever you want,
mate.
It's cool.
Yeah, well,
I know you've got a lot of stuff there that you want to get out, and we never got it out on Saturday, so.
I mean, I can run it till about. Well, I can run it with you till about 11 o'clock if that's all right, mate. If you want to.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just going to nip off 2 minutes, and then I'll be back, and then undivided attention. Sorry, what was that actual story about? I caught the end bit about universities, about the qualifications and things.
This was about complaints that too many university students are getting high-class degrees. They're doing too well at university. So that's the problem.
My younger brother's one of them, actually.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. He's done very well for himself in artificial intelligence, I believe.
Oh, right, okay, right, yeah. Well,
an interesting subject.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an unusual one, isn't it? But yeah. So he does well. That's because the test was too easy. If he didn't do well, that's because he didn't try hard enough. So, what can you do? Right, okay, mate. Well, I'll go on to the next one then whilst you're doing what you need.
What's the next one?
This is from the Liverpool Echo. It's school newsletter contained photo of student doing an ISIS salute.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Okay.
That's it, yeah.
Back
just Yep, no worries, mate. Yep. Right, head teacher at Rainhill High School apologises over error after complaints. Right, head teacher has apologised over a school newsletter with a student allegedly doing an ISIS salute on its front page. John Pout, head of Rainhill High School, said it has been included by mistake in its latest newsletter to parents. The image shows a male student holding his index finger up in the air with an Iranian flag around his waist at a recent International Themed Sports Day. So this child, regardless of what flag he had around his waist, was holding his finger up in the air. I'm pretty sure that's international code for many things. International code for getting someone's attention. International code for celebrating something. And as this was a sports day, there probably was some celebrating going on. But no, apparently it's an ISIS salute. So we continue with the article. A source at the school told the Liverpool Echo there has been some disquiet from parents over the newsletter that was sent out on Friday. Now, it shows a picture here, which unfortunately I can't show you. But as you can see, one of the pictures is of a pupil doing the ISIS finger. Well, that's a new terminology, doing the ISIS finger. Continues, draped in an Iranian flag. So clearly, the media thinks the Iranian flag is key here, because obviously we haven't invaded Iran yet. And it says, this is very inappropriate. So I'm not really sure what the inappropriate part is. I assume they probably mean the Iranian flag. But interestingly, he's actually got his arm around another pupil next to him, and that other pupil has the communist Russia flag, or the communist Soviet flag. So no mention about the communist statement from the other pupil, but no, Iranian flag, that's bad. If you put your finger up to get someone's attention, or if you put your finger up in the air during celebration, during a sports day, and you've got an Iranian flag around your waist, my God, that's ISIS. My God, you terrorist. And of course, as I've mentioned a few times now, having been a governor at a primary school, there is something called British values that all teachers abide by. And one of the British values is teaching about terrorism and spotting terrorism. And there are two main signals that a child may be a potential terrorist. Now, having an Iranian flag around your waist isn't one of those, but nonetheless, they include that anyway in this article. But one of them is being isolated from your classmates. So if a child appears shy, doesn't want to interact with the classmates around them, that could be, and teachers are told, that could be a potential sign of terrorism, or a child, who could be a future terrorist. The other one is if a child says something negative about gay people. So, for example, and one of the examples given in the letter that is sent out to teachers is if a child says being gay is wrong. Teachers are told that's a sign of potential terrorism for that child.
That's ludicrous.
Absolutely ridiculous, and it really is. Now imagine a child who has an Iranian flag around their waist, puts their finger in the air to celebrate a sports day, and thinks being gay is wrong. Wow, I mean, they're for the chop. Now, head teacher John Pout said he'd been made aware of the image this morning and said it'd be removed swiftly from the school website. Basically, we can't have Iranian flags on school websites because we haven't invaded it yet. Once we have invaded it and installed a puppet government, then, you can have as many Iranian flags as you want. He said, "I'm sorry, it was issued in error. It was a genuine error by a junior member of staff." Asked if the pupil would be questioned or disciplined over the image, he replied, "We will be dealing with it internally."
Internally?
Yeah, well, that means contacting social services, informing them that there's a potential child terrorist at the school because he put his finger in the air and he had an Iranian flag around his waist. But again, we won't mention the communist flag that the child next to him had. The gesture could be interpreted in various ways, but it has been spotted numerous times in propaganda images of so-called Islamic State fighters. Interesting. So they even emit propaganda images, and we know where propaganda of ISIS comes from. So yeah, another engineered, social engineering at schools again. But yeah, what can you do?
Oh well, it really scares you. I mean, when my wife was here, we did discuss homeschooling, and I think we've discussed it here before. And it is a serious option that people should think about, because it's not the best ideas to let your kids go to a school and just be indoctrinated with a lot of the crap that they indoctrinate you with. We're lied to about history. We're taught how to pay our taxes, and like you say, it's 1984 or they live. It's not a good place, the education thing anymore. I mean, I'm part of a group. You're a member of that group as well, and there's been a lot of talk on there recently, and people saying, "Oh, come on, let's buy a field, let's buy a small island and set up a community." That's all very good. I would be up for that. I would love to live in a community like that. It wouldn't work like that. It would end up being a cult, and we'd end up like, what was his name again? In Texas, there was a cult there anyway. Everyone ended up dead. They killed everyone. Do you know which?
I remember that. Yeah. I know.
Waco, Texas. Can't remember the guy's name.
I do remember that story. Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you're spot on there, mate. Yeah, I mean, homeschooling is something that we're going to be doing in the immediate future. And you're right. I mean, simple things. And this is again where schools are overstepping the mark as spy centres for the state. But it used to be that if your child had a problem at school, or the school had an issue with your child, the school would contact you to speak to you about it. But now they have a secret register I don't know about secondary schools, but I know all primary schools have this, and they document the concerns about your child on this register. And it's not for the parents. Parents are never told about it.
Is this just in England and Wales? Because what we have to actually check when we talk about things is, I find that often it says on the news, it'll say in England and Wales.
Right, yes. Well, I mean, I'm going from the experience of the governor in England, so possibly just England and Wales. It might be different for Northern Ireland, Scotland, quite possibly. But okay, if we say England, certainly here in England, this is the case that this is all documented on a secret register that the parent isn't told about, has no access to whatsoever. And it basically builds up a case file on the child, which then goes to social services. It completely bypasses the parents. Yeah, absolutely, completely over their heads. So the first thing that the parent knows about any problem is when social services come knocking at the door, and at that point they're already in possession of a case file on you or on your child.
Well,
absolutely terrible. But...
You know, up here we have the Named Person Act, or they're trying to bring in the Named Person Act, Persons Act, and that is your named person before the child's at primary school is your health professional, your healthcare worker, the person that deals with you, not your doctor, but the one that comes out and checks up on you after you've had a baby and stuff. They're the named person up until they go to primary school. Then it's the head teacher who's the named person after that. Now that person's got access to everything in your life. Your criminal record, your financial records. I believe they can check your debts. They can check any psychiatric history, all that sort of stuff. And it's been overturned just now because they've said it's an invasion of privacy.
Right. I see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was one of the things that I did follow, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. It really is. Again, it's another example that parents are not parents. We are just the daytime carers. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a proven case that shows it doesn't work anyway, because there was a child in Fife. Now, I can't remember the child's. Obviously, it was baby baby whatever, baby P or something. And she had two mothers. And they one of them killed the baby, or they both killed the baby. Now they lived in a town where the Named Persons Act was active. It was actually being used in Fife, and it never worked because that baby still died. Now, if the Named Persons Act worked, that baby, they would have realized there was a problem. They would have been in there and they would have dealt with it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, no, I think everything about it is completely wrong, and I can see it coming to England as well. I can see them doing it, but every time there's a case here in England with a baby who is sadly abused and dies, as it does happen, and they're the cases that social services should be working on sorting out, but they use it as an agenda. They use it to their advantage. They'll put it all across the media, and they'll impose more regulation for social services to be more invasive on everyone. The people that don't need it.
Now, talking about invasive, so in America, there's a company that's got its staff to have RFIDs put into them.
Okay.
And so, I mean, we've obviously heard of RFID technology because of what we research and stuff, but we knew that it wasn't going to be long before we were talking about, actually putting them into our bodies. I mean, we've talked about it for a few years now, but I mean, this company is now asking its staff to put RFID tags into them. I believe in Australia they're doing the same thing. I'm not sure why they're doing it in Australia, but yeah, it's not good. And then today I received what I don't use the large supermarkets that much. I like my Aldi's, and I know how much you love Aldi's, Lee. You told me the last time we spoke.
Yeah, absolutely. I love having my shopping thrown at me 24 hours.
Yeah. So today I received. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention her name. I'll get charged for it anyway. I received my new club card. I think we know who we're talking about, eh? And it's wireless. It's not wireless, sorry. It's contactless, right? So I believe the other one was contactless because all they did was sort of aimed a beam at it and it, boop, no contact made. So this one's contactless. Has it got an RFID chip in it? Because the last one, if I remember, actually had it was a barcode it had, eh? But I wonder if this has got an RFID chip in it. So,
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
yeah.
It's something as innocent as a supermarket club card is the sort of introduction that they would use. It is something that everyone uses, no one suspects. It's the perfect testing ground. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see that sort of thing at all.
Welcome to our viewer. Thank you for watching. Send us a message. Have a look at the bottom. There should be a thing that says live chat. Click on it. Say hi. I will say hi back to you. Even if I know you, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, the RFID thing. Everything's trackable. I mean, we all carry smartphones around with us, and we know how much. I mean, I've gone and looked on the Samsung Health app on my phone, and it came up with a notification one day. The car was in the garage, so we walked to the garage. It was a lovely day. We walked. It was about 3 miles, and it was a great walk. And when we got there, my phone went ding, and it came up and it said new record for the distance that I'd walked. And I thought, oh, that's fantastic. Went and had a look around the app, and it actually had a map showing me where I'd been. A line showing me where I'd been. So not only was it tracking my footsteps, but it was tracking my location of those footsteps. So actually, since I've had this phone, this has probably tracked every step I've ever taken. And
yeah, I found that on my mobile phone with Google Maps. I found a section on it that tracks your history. I didn't realise it did it before, but I had a look at it, and yeah, it's very accurate. It can literally tell you the buildings that you've been in.
Yeah, is that the one where it asks you what you thought of this, and does it have a public toilet in it, and can you?
Yeah, where the suggest edits comes up.
Yes,
That's it. Yeah.
I put a photograph up one day. In fact, I put 2 photographs up. And I keep getting notifications. This is a new record for this photograph because so many people have seen it. Like, yay! Internet fame. I crave these internet points.
That's it. I mean, you can literally put any photo up there.
Talking internet points, yeah, don't forget to subscribe. We like those subscriptions. We like our friends to be there. So, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget the wee bell next to it as well. Notifications. Every time we come online, if it's a Wednesday or a Saturday, you'll get a wee notification telling you we're live. So, I've just got a little message here from a friend of mine. If you're watching, hi Jade. There are anti-terrorist barriers on the Royal Mile. Right, the festival's coming up. The Edinburgh Festival, and apparently they've put up these terrorist barriers to stop people ramming into the crowds.
Right, okay.
Right, now, it's street performers. This is a great point she's made. It's street performers, right, a lot of them. So you've got guys juggling, knives, flaming torches. But you have to watch out for terrorists. Remember to run, hide, and run, hide, tell?
Yeah, that's yeah. Run, hide, tell. Thinking about that, we were talking about Wimbledon. I think the last time we were on a couple of weeks ago, and we were just saying about how the terrorists apparently attacked the Ariana Grande concert.
But they like Wimbledon.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I was just talking to the wife about it, and I was saying, isn't it interesting how, with these women playing tennis, that the terrorists don't get offended by what they're wearing? And she said, well, maybe the terrorists don't watch Wimbledon. Oh, yeah. So that's a good point, isn't it?
Now, it's funny you should say that. Now, we have jokes on Facebook about your gender. I don't even know how to talk
Excuse
to
me,
you.
do
I
you?
don't even know how
You
to
mock
talk to
me.
you about. I don't even know how to talk to you about that. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Please tell me you saw the video on Wimbledon where they got the guy to come out the audience and he put on the girls' clothes, tennis clothes, and they had a wee game of tennis with them.
Yeah, the big bloke.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
Nothing to sort of just back to what you were saying about gender equality in schools and encouraging kids to sort of explore their sexuality and stuff. It's the same, you know what I mean? It's like, well, hold on, you're watching Wimbledon, okay, we'll get a guy to come out and wear a dress.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
why didn't they get a girl to come out and do that and say, okay, I can play tennis, I'll check on one of your things and I'll have a game, or another guy, or just, you know, a guy wearing a guy's shorts. Why did he wear a girl's? Or am I reading too much into it? Is it just meant to be funny?
No, I agree with you, mate. I think mocking the male gender on mainstream television at prime time, an event like that, absolutely, yeah. And of course, everyone just laughs. They think of it as normal now. It's normalised that men should make complete fools of themselves like that. Emasculation on a grand scale, isn't it? You know?
I'm just going to have a wee look onto the interwebs to see what's being said about the barriers being put up at the Royal Mile.
Okay, mate. Yeah.
See if I can find anything on it.
I think, yeah, that sounds like an interesting one. Whilst you're doing that, I just found a contradiction in the media, or kind of a contradiction. On Thursday, Vanity Fair reported from Elon Musk saying that he admits flying to Mars might be hard. And of course, Elon Musk, SpaceX. So he's basically saying in the article that flying to Mars isn't going to happen. But interestingly, an article came out today from NASA. NASA tests engine that will eventually take us to Mars.
Even though they can't afford to go to Mars because they announced that to the Senate.
Yeah, I thought, how interesting. I mean, that was in the New York Post. That was today. So, yeah, they were firing up this rocket engine in the test centre. Now, just think how much fuel that was burning for a test. Swimming pools full of fuel to fire that rocket. And yet I'm told, and you're told, we're the reason for global warming and we need to stop using fuel and we're the problem. And yet there's NASA firing this rocket in a test centre, guzzling fuel, that ultimately is not going to go to Mars. It's not going to happen. But they, I think it was next year, the first unmanned mission from NASA on a rocket supposed to go to Mars.
Okay.
The fact that we've already got the rover there, I would have thought that was an unmanned mission, but apparently not.
They could just take a plane there, couldn't they? Now I've got to share this picture. I've actually gone and looked for these barriers that they've installed now. Do you know the geography of Edinburgh? Have you ever been?
I don't know. No. Mate.
That's shocking. There's a hill goes up to Edinburgh Castle. It's called the Royal Mile. Ironically, it's a mile long. From there, it goes all the way down to the government building at the bottom, the Scottish Parliament. It's a cobbled road for the main part of it, I believe. But I found this picture, and it's showing these new barriers. And oh my God. I mean, the photograph couldn't be any more Scottish because it's being down the rain. But yeah, these have been put up in a hurry. This wasn't planned. And let me just show you this picture and you'll see why. 2 seconds. How do we do this again? Screen share. There we go. That one there. Start screen share. Now, I know you've got your mic muted, so that's fine. As you can see, everyone with the brollies peeing down the rain. But look at this. It's like they've just poured a tin of paint over the end bit here. It's dribbled down there.
It's not showing again, mate.
Oh, is it not showing again? Oh, right, okay. Present to everyone. Okay. And then click back on here. You seeing it now?
No, still just a blank screen.
Damn. Okay, we'll stop. We'll try and do it again. Screen share. Anti-terrorism barriers. Start screen share. Okay, how are we doing now?
Oh, no, still a blank screen.
Go and mute your microphone. It's not that, is it?
Nope, just a blank screen.
Oh, why is this not working now? It worked before. Anyway, I'm trying to present to everyone. You're screen sharing and presenting to everyone. You should be able to see the screen that I'm looking at now.
No, just a black screen. Well, for me anyway. I mean, other people might be able to see it. But
Yeah, okay. I'll just leave it. It's fine. Anyway, these barriers, they're really badly painted. It's like they've done it in a hurry. And do you remember when they put the barriers up in London? It was the day after the Westminster attack.
yeah, I remember that, yeah.
They just happened to have those barriers standing by and ready to put up.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, mate. Yeah.
And now they've put them up in Edinburgh just before the festival. So
yeah, it just reconfirms the story, isn't it? It reconfirms the mainstream version, that we've got to be careful of terrorists because now they're driving at us. But yeah, completely goes against the old philosophy. You know, we ever saw any of them blow themselves up anyway. But yeah, now it's in vehicles, and now we're putting barriers up.
Just as we're talking getting rid of cars.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, the terrorists using cars is it's really ludicrous. It's beyond a joke. The fear that they're trying to put into people. You know, it doesn't. Do you know how many terrorist acts there have been in Scotland?
I know there's the Glasgow bin lorry fiasco.
No, that Glasgow bin lorry. That was a guy had a heart attack at the wheel.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well, none of them.
Well, no, there was one. There was a car went into Glasgow airport with some guys in it with some gas canisters, and they set themselves on fire. John Smeaton, one of our, I don't know who this guy was, but he apparently ran up and kicked one of them in between the legs, and he said, "We'll set about you," or something like that. So that's the only terrorist act I can remember in Scottish history. Without actually going and Googling one off the top of my head, that's the only one I can think of. I can't remember, you know, the IRA setting off any bombs. And that's really who we worried about before. Well, sorry, I mean, the only other terrorist act I can think of that you could say in Scotland, I do apologise, is Lockerbie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, sorry, but I mean, that's not the same thing. You know what I mean? That was on a plane. That wasn't actually anything against Scotland. That was against the plane and an excuse to go into Libya and get rid of Gaddafi.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Yeah. No, I think you're pretty safe there in Scotland, and we're safe here in England, and everyone's safe in France, and everyone's safe in America, and we're safe. We're all safe.
We're safe. If you actually have a look at where I live on the map, now you know where I live. I'm not going to say over the TV, but if you have a look at where I live on the map, 6 miles down the road, we have the largest oil refinery in Scotland. The oil that gets pumped out of the North Sea gets pumped straight to this refinery, which is 6 miles down the road from us. I've told you about it before.
Yeah.
It's funny how they never have terrorists there.
Exactly. Yeah. There's never a terrorist at an actual strategic point.
But when it happens in another country, they blow up the oil and they blow up, the platforms, and you're like, well, if that's the way you do it, then why don't they do that here? Why don't they blow up the government? Why don't they blow up the Queen? Why don't they blow up the oil? Oh, why don't you blow up the infrastructure, the electricity, the gas? Do you know that Britain can only store enough gas to keep us going for 2 weeks?
No, I didn't know that. No.
This is why we apparently buy it in from Russia.
Okay.
We get our gas shipped here from Russia.
Right.
Because we only have enough. We can run out of gas. You know, say the ship sinks or something and they can't get another one for 4 weeks, we would run out of gas. Or, well, that's what we're told.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that. That's interesting, actually, because I didn't realise that was the official version of it. But yeah, I'll have a look into that.
Let's see. But the thing is, I don't get it. We make the stuff, right? The oil, I've told you, it comes into down the road. The petrol station, the BP petrol station that's next to the BP refinery, right? You drive out the refinery gate, turn right, and on the left-hand side, there's a petrol station. It's the most expensive petrol station in the area. Why?
Good point. Very good point.
Surely if we make it and we refine it there, they put it into a lorry there, because I see the lorries leaving all day, every day. Surely it should be cheaper for us. Because they don't have to transport it as far. They don't have to. It's just, yeah, it's weird.
No, I heard that. There was I think, a big controversy over why certain supermarket fuel is cheaper than the premium stations. And some people were saying that they work at certain distribution centres and it all comes from the same source. I know that it's said that some put certain additives in. But yeah, there's a big discrepancy, you know, for that as well.
I don't know. I mean, I've put the better fuel in my car a couple of times, and I have noticed a difference. You know, the VMAX, I think it's called Shell VMAX. It does make your car run slightly better. But
okay. In what way?
Faster. Gives him more get up and go. He goes boom boom.
I've no doubt that there are certain additives added in, certain unwanted elements taken out. No doubt about it at all. I can't see why there wouldn't be. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, you know, for me, with a very simple Volvo, I don't think whatever fuel I pick is going to make a difference. But yeah,
it'll still be a crap car.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, that's what it comes down to.
It's like you said you had a Bugatti.
Yeah, I do, but I only drive that on Sundays because of global warming
and the cost of fuel.
And the cost of fuel, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm talking additives, right? Sorry to interrupt. Talking of additives, now I told you earlier I used to drive trucks. New trucks, I can't remember the year it was brought in, but have to have an extra tank on the. If you look at the side of a new truck, it has two tanks. There's a fuel tank and then it has a white tank, and that takes a stuff called AdBlue. Now that's to make them more environmentally friendly, which is fair enough. I understand adding this stuff must, you know, help the emissions or whatever. But if it's that good, why don't they give it to cars? Why don't they have little AdBlue tanks in cars as well?
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't they have them both?
Yeah, exactly.
What are they going to do with all the diesel trains? They're electrifying all the train tracks around here. There's a big thing going on here just now with the electrification of the train track between Glasgow and Edinburgh. Pardon me, and it goes both sides of Falkirk. You've got the Camlin Grahamston side, and then you've got the Falkirk High side. It's like the canals. You've got one on one side and one on the other. That's all being electrified, the whole lot of it. So, yeah, everything's heading towards electric, eh?
Yeah, big push for electric. Yeah, it does make you wonder. Definitely. Trains, cars, everything.
Talking about electric trucks. Well, they use electric trucks. When I was driving trucks, when I was first driving trucks, geez, when did I pass my HGV? Probably 2007, 8, something like that. And I was doing the Bells Hill run. There used to be a Royal Mail truck ran around there, and it was electric. They could only do 100 miles or something like that. But they used to have it on the industrial estate, and it just ran around. It never cost them anything. It just cost them to charge it, you know. So yeah, It's down to everything now. You know, it's not just cars and trains.
No, no, he's been widespread, without a doubt. Yeah, and of course, solar power died a death. It makes you wonder with all these well fads that come out. But yeah, solar power was an interesting one. There's a lot of houses around me that put all the panels up because they thought they were doing the right thing. There were government grants, and the next thing you know, there's a big controversy about it that it doesn't produce what you're told it is going to
Yeah,
produce.
that's probably down to the type of panels that they use.
Okay.
I don't know about solar panels, but I'm guessing. I know that they have it so that you get you get a feed off it. I mean, there's council in Glasgow. They use they actually put solar panels in. So I don't know if it's all the houses or some of the houses, but those people get so much kilowatts per day, and the rest goes back into the network. But that seems like an awful lot of. They don't get an awful lot of the people that are in the actual house. You know, they don't get free electricity. They have to pay for their electricity.
Well, I mean, solar power in general must work because the craft that we're told is the ISS that works really well on solar power. That's
Ooh, good point. Talking of which, where is the ISS? Shall we have a look?
I don't know, but I was up till about 2 o'clock this morning.
Need a hammer?
Just watching the live feed of it, and I still can't work it out, to be honest.
I've got look. I got myself ISS HD live. It's HD and everything. Now let's see what it's saying. Sunrise in 15 minutes. Really? Is it that late? Oh, we're getting a live feed from.
Let's see. Besides that, we have over
here. Oh, we're getting a live feed from the ISS. Yeah, we don't need to see that. So we've missed it. It passed over you a little while ago. It's at the moment over the Ukraine somewhere. No, next to the Ukraine. What's that? Is that southern Russia? It is, yeah. So we missed it. So, and there's a big circle showing you where you'd be able to see it. So I don't know if that will show up on the camera. You see that?
Yeah, but when I talk, it'll go away.
Yeah, I forgot. So no.
But yeah,
cool. Yeah, I should go out with the P900 one night. Tracking it's hard. I don't have automatic tracking software or anything like that. I've got just a tripod, but I could try and catch it on the camera one day. Either have the camera set for a location and get it to pass through it, because it passes by us west to east. Yeah. So, but I don't get this speed. I mean, it freaks me out because it's meant to be doing 17,000 miles an hour, which is something like 25 times the speed of sound. Yet we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, which is 17 times slower than the actual ISS is going. And then it passes over the horizon. It takes 5 minutes to pass the horizon there, and you're like, it just messes with my head. I just can't work it out. Have you seen it?
No, I've never seen it. No, not had a visual on it.
I've seen it. If you go out, if you get a clear night and you just stare at the sky for 10-15 minutes, you will see things moving. But what they are, I don't know. They're just other stars that are moving, but they're moving like this, and you can actually watch them for a while.
Yeah, I have seen things like that. And I mean, for the ISS, I mean, I've seen the amateur images or taken from footage, and yeah, no reason to doubt it at all. They're all consistent. It definitely appears to be similar in shape to what we're officially told it is, so I've got no problems with that. I mean, I didn't realise that it was one of the lower or one of the lowest orbiting satellites. If we refer to it as satellite, it's man-made, it orbits.
Yeah, no, that's satellite.
The rest of satellites are actually above the ISS. I didn't realise that before.
No, I didn't know that.
No, it just made me realise as I was looking into it, there's still a lot more research that I've got to do on it. But
Leigh, please tell me you heard the fantastic news. Did you know that Google have taken their Google Maps technology up to the ISS?
Yes, I did hear about that. Yeah,
Did you?
see it on Google Street View.
Did you have a look? Please tell me.
No, I didn't bother, to be honest. But yeah, I did hear that they'd done that. Yeah.
So this 4-camera system thing that they've got, this big machine, right, that the guy either has to hold and walk around the shop with, or they put it on top of a car. They've flown that to the ISS, have they?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Why wouldn't they?
Seems legit.
They put monkey suits up there.
The monkey suit, mate, that cracked me up. That was so funny.
Yeah, I mean, things like that, that's what makes me doubt what we're told. I mean, I just can't imagine that happening. If it was as if it was as we were told, you wouldn't send a guy in a monkey suit up there to jump out of a bloody box. It just wouldn't happen.
No, you'd give them, unless you told them and said, look, this is what's going to happen. But what, did the guy stay in the monkey suit all the way up from, well, he was on the Russian spacecraft or the SpaceX or whatever it was?
Oh, that's it, yeah. What point did he change over? Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. But yeah, there's a lot of discrepancies with it. I mean, a lot of the footage that we're seeing from inside the ISS, I mean, we can see how it's faked. You've got those shots with the harnesses. You've got the issue with the hair. Now, something is up there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's what we're told it is, why are they faking internal footage of the craft? Because they wouldn't need to, surely. And the live footage that I watched, it seemed to, in many ways, it seemed to loop, because they had a front camera, back camera, and the side cameras. None of those cameras matched up with the clouds below them. Every time it switched, the cloud coverage changed dramatically. For example, the front camera over one flyover had absolutely no cloud below it at all. Then it switched to the rear camera,
and it had clouds.
It was covered in cloud, thick coverage.
All of a sudden, chemtrails. That's what that is.
Yeah. And you think, what? Why is that? So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot more research that I've got to do into it, but yeah, I don't know. All we do know is something clearly is up there, because it matches to where we're told to be and when. But it's obviously not as we're told.
But what's the point in it? I mean, really, what is the point in it? It's, they say, they're up there doing all these experiments and things. It's like, have you ever heard them come out and say, by the way, one of the experiments we did, we're going to give the Nobel Prize for, because they have done this and they have found out this? No, you don't. You just hear that they're going up there to do experiments. They're sending this doctor up there because he's a doctor in this and he can do this experiment up there. They've got a wee laddie from a school who said that he wanted him to write upside down to see what difference it will make. Really? For 20 odd years? But no, how long have they been building the ISS?
Well, exactly. But I think it's used to confirm the globe model. If nothing else, because at the end of the day, they've done it quite well. Like we just said, there is something there. It appears to be flying over a globe, and for some people, that's enough to convince them. So maybe that's one of its roles, is just to play that convincing part, and just confirm what we're told.
But I mean, I've seen there was a night there was meant to be a shooting, shooting stars. When you see when you see a lot of them, meteor shower.
Yeah,
it's like a Leonid meteor shower, something like that. And my son was like, I want to see it. So I got him up. I think it was like 11:30 at night or something, 12 o'clock at night. And in his jammies, put his jacket on, took him out in the car up somewhere really dark nearby that I knew we'd be able to see the stars from. And we saw lots of things moving, but they weren't meteors. They weren't shooting stars. Now, whether they were satellites. Now, come on, viewers. I mean, send us a message. Tell us, what do you think? Do you think these are satellites that are up there? Do you think these are something else? If you think they're something else, what do you think they are? Because I've seen them with my own eyes. I haven't used a telescope, but they just look like stars moving. I don't believe in the need for satellites because of underground cables, which take 95% of the traffic that we use on the internet, TV, etc. The other 5% is done by land-based masts. So, you know, we don't have a need for satellites. The ISS just seems ridiculous. I mean, the things they do in it just don't make sense for the amount of money they spend. Why haven't they gone further than low Earth orbit? Because I don't think they've been to the moon. I don't believe they've been to the moon because I've seen things that prove they haven't been to the moon. If you watch a video on YouTube called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, a very, very good documentary showing you them faking the Earth from 200,000 miles away or something like that. It's a good video. Check it out. So, but like I say, if you want to send an email, SaturdayNightChats@gmail.com. We can get you online or send us a message. If you click at the bottom where it says live chat, click on there and say hi. We'll say hello back to you. So what's next on the agenda, Leigh?
Well, I've got to skedaddle off now, mate.
Whoa!
Gonna have to love you and leave you, mate. But yeah, no, I think yeah, definitely this time next week. Do it all again. I doubt, mate. Yeah.
Definitely, and to our viewers, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification. We'll get you when we go live. You'll get a wee ding on your phone or your device to tell you that we're here again. And thanks for watching. Take care now. Night night.